Have you ever heard the story of Jadie Brissett? The tale of his life and untimely death is a strong reminder of the fragility of life and the devastating impacts of violence. Jadie Brissett was not your average young man. Despite his youth, he carried a maturity that distinguished him from his peers. Known for his ability to bring people together, Jadie was well respected within his community. He played football for Shoreditch College alongside his good friend Robin and other members of the London Fields Boys. It was June 9th, 2003. On this fateful day, 4 men, Pepe Brown, aged 21, Aaron Salmon, aged 18, Robbie Thomas, aged 22, and Mark Lawrence, aged 23, set out on a mission. These men, armed with masks and guns, were searching for JD. They were joined by others, reportedly at least 9 individuals from the Holly Street Boys and the Square Boys. Together, they formed a convoy of 3 cars, a Renault Megane, a green Ford Escort, and a white Orion. JD was playing a game called Money Up the Wall with some friends at the junction of Lansdowne Drive and Shrubland Road in Hackney when this convoy pulled up. 4 gunshots rang out. 1 bullet shattered a car windshield, another narrowly missing a 10-year-old boy riding his bike. The 2 other bullets found their mark, fatally wounding JD. The first bullet, fired from a handgun, hit him in the upper thigh, causing him to fall. As he tried to run away, a second shot from a shotgun hit him in the chest, causing severe injuries to his lungs and heart. After the shooting, the assailants quickly returned to their vehicles and fled the scene. Despite his injuries, JD managed to get up and run to the back of the estate. He hopped over a fence, ran across a small patch of grass and collapsed near some dustbins. Emergency surgery was performed on the spot, but it was too late. JD had sustained severe damage to his heart and lungs and internal bleeding. He was pronounced dead at Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel less than an hour after the shooting. News of JD's death spread quickly. Robin received a call warning him that the Tottenham man had started shooting. Immediately after, his girlfriend came running in to confirm the chilling news. JD was dead. Robin would make his way to the scene. Once there, asked someone what was going on, and they would turn to him and say, "It was your boys, the Holly Street Boys." Word soon got around that the culprits belonged to 2 rival gangs, the Holly Street Boys and the Square Boys. Yet in the end, the labels and affiliations matter little. What matters was that a young man's life was cut short, a community left mourning, and a family was devastated. Pepe became the #1 target for the London Fields Boys, and they wanted revenge. Pepe, a notorious figure from the Holly Street Boys, had a fearsome reputation that had been forged by a disturbed family background. From an early age, he was a problem, rejected by multiple schools and eventually sent to a boarding school. His journey through the streets took him in and out of jail for various violent crimes, including stabbings, since he was around 16 years old. A shady figure, he was also implicated in the murder of an Asian man at the famous London Notting Hill Carnival in 2000. However, the case of murder was dropped due to a lack of evidence. Mr. Abdul Bhatti, 28, died after he was attacked during the Notting Hill Carnival on Monday, August 28th around 7:30 p.m. He was set upon after trying to help a friend who was being robbed by a gang at Belem Crescent. A witness described that the gang began targeting Asian stallholders before they would go on and attack Mr. Bhatti, which would cause him later to pass away in hospital. 9 men were jailed for taking part in the violent attack, but no one was ever convicted of his murder. It would be this case that people would start to label Pepe Brown a snitch. While in jail, Pepe would alert the authorities that he had information on the Damilola Taylor case and would swap information to have his sentence reduced. He would claim that one of the boys arrested for the murder was bragging to him about the murder. It wouldn't be too long before Pepe Brown was a free man. Pepe's notoriety made him the prime target for the rival gang, the London Fields Boys, especially after a dispute after a shooting incident. The tension escalated to a point where Pepe was stabbed outside a courthouse and had to flee to a nearby police station for safety. The conflict didn't stop at Pepe. Multiple homes were being shot into that were thought to be involved in the murder of Jadie Brissett. Pepe's sister was also held at gunpoint, forcing her family to flee their home in fear. Gang violence had infiltrated their lives, leaving them in constant state of fear and uncertainty. Enter Aaron Salmon, a 17-year-old with a reputation for drugs and violence. Even though he was only 17, he was into a continuing beef with the Yardies, a notorious gang, and had shootouts on multiple occasions. A week or so before the murder of Jadie, an armed gang would see Aaron in his car wearing expensive jewelry. They smashed his window, took his jewelry. Aaron would get out his car to confront them, but was stabbed in the chest. They then stole his car and his phones. In the hospital, Aaron told the police that he saw Jadie as one of his attackers, but vowed to sort it out himself. On the day of Jadie's murder, Aaron started receiving calls accusing him of involvement. An attempt on his life soon followed, but they missed the mark, injuring a friend instead. When the police arrested Aaron, he refused to cooperate with the investigation. First, we turn our focus to Mark Lawrence, arrested on the 13th of June. He was found in body armor, a telling sign of his involvement in crime. Initially, he denied his role in the murder, but as time passed, his guilt led him to spill the beans, ultimately leading to the arrest of Danny Williams, the driver of one of the 3 vehicles involved in the crime. In an attempt to escape, Danny turned to robbery, but his plan backfired, leading him to run off alone. His arrest followed soon after, and upon his capture, he began to spill the details of the murder implicating Aaron, a man he claimed to fear. Sharing the same vehicle with Danny was Jermaine Allen, also known as Faggot. He had fled from London and was arrested a couple months later. He painted a picture of Aaron Salmon as a fearsome individual, someone who had shot him once simply for sitting on his mother's car. Fear of retaliation kept him silent about this incident. He also admitted to being scared of Pepe and Mark, who forced him in the car, explaining his presence at the scene of the crime. When the shooting began, fear took hold and he directed Danny to drive away. Mark Lawrence, Danny Williams and Jermaine Allen all confessed to driving to the scene of the murder. Their confessions led to multiple arrests, including that of Robbie Thomas, who remained silent and refused to help the police. The web of criminality extended further. A few months after Jadie Brissett's murder, another suspect, Lamont Silcock, would be shot in the head while waiting in his car. However, not all arrests resulted in charges. One man, found with a firearm, had his charges dropped due to a lack of evidence tying him to the murder. Aaron Salmon too was rearrested but remained silent, refusing to cooperate with the police. In the end, Mark Lawrence, Danny Williams, Robbie Thomas, Aaron Salmon, Pepe Brown and Jermaine Allen were charged for the murder of Jadie Brissett. Even if they were not all the shooters, they had all played significant roles in Jadie's death. But one question remains, a question that continues to haunt the narrative. Who actually pulled the trigger? The confessions of these individuals wasn't the only evidence the police had. A witness at the scene managed to write down the registration number on one of the vehicles, which would prove useful. The police also had their hands on CCTV footage capturing the green Ford Escort and the 2 other vehicles near the crime scene. Mobile data, a trail of digital breadcrumbs, linked the 5 men to the shooting. They also found the green Ford Escort charred and abandoned in Homerton, East London. One of the accused, Aaron Salmon, fell ill once the trial had started. He needed surgery and the retrial would start again in March 2005. The case didn't start as planned, as witnesses fearing for their safety were reluctant to testify. One didn't even show up to court, but his previous statement was allowed to be read out in court. Robbie Thomas pleaded not guilty but would be tried separately due to improper questioning. Mark Lawrence pleaded not guilty to murder, claiming there was no previous plan to kill Jadie and never knew what was going on until they were minutes away from London Fields. Mark Lawrence would turn key witness for the prosecution as he was there when the event took place and spoke on the events in court. Pepe Brown pleaded not guilty to murder, claiming he was with other people looking for girls. None of his friends would come forward to verify this story. Pepe was also accused by Mark Lawrence's barrister that he had been threatening his client back at Belmarsh prison, a claim Pepe denied. Aaron Salmon would also plead not guilty. Danny Williams pleaded not guilty to murder, but always stuck to his original story that took place saying, as soon as guns were out, we got out of there. Jermaine Allen pleaded not guilty and stuck to his story of not knowing what was about to take place, and as soon as he noticed he was going to Fields, he wanted to get out of there and took the first opportunity to leave. Despite the pleas, Robbie, Pepe and Aaron were sentenced to life with 15 years minimum. They grinned as they were sentenced. Mark Lawrence would get a life sentence also, but with a minimum of 10 years behind bars. Danny Williams and Jermaine Allen were both acquitted. Lawrence told the court he had lied to protect himself and his family, and added, "It should never have happened. I felt remorse as soon as I found out someone was dead. I've been full of remorse since it happened. I'm sorry for the part I played in the death." Gareth Reese, defending, claimed that Lawrence's life was in danger as a result of what he had done. The rest of his life will be severely affected by what he did, he said. Going back to Hackney, where he was brought up, must be a non-starter. Whenever he is released, he will have to take the greatest care because there are obviously people, the Brissetts, Brown, Thomas, who for a very long time will wish to seek retribution. His position in the subculture of prison will be difficult. He will, as they say, have to watch his back. Mr. Reese said that Brown, known as the God of Hackney, had already threatened Mark Lawrence when they was in Belmarsh jail together, and Lawrence's family are too scared to visit him because they fear they will be followed. Judge Peter Beaumont, QC, accepted what Lawrence had done by giving evidence against Thomas. He told him, "The circumstances are extremely unusual. You lied to the police for your own benefit, you pleaded not guilty, you took your chance with the jury, and you lied to them in the evidence you gave." But he added, "The magnitude of the step you took, whatever the motive, cannot be underestimated in the terms of its practical event for your term in prison, your family, and your future." Dressed in black, Lawrence showed no emotion as he was led away, while friends of Brissett shouted from the gallery. They were sentenced on the 12th of August, 2005. I would like to take this time to say rest in peace to Jadie Brissett, and my condolences go out to the family and friends affected by this devastating event.